Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the IQ Project. I'm right here with my co-host, rickytatt.
Yo, yo.
And this badass entrepreneur chick, Eva.
Hey.
So she's our special guest for today. You're going to learn a lot more about her today. We're going to be over here. She is the CEO of In Your Closet. But before we start, again, this show is brought to you by Iconic Tattoo Studio. For all your tattoo needs, please contact us on Instagram, iconic_tattoo studio.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna pass this on to rickytatt. You want to go introduce her?
Yeah, sure. Eva is, like we stated right now, she's a female entrepreneur. She's actually our first interviewee, our first female interviewee that is an entrepreneur. She owns her own business, a retail store in the Renaissance Marketplace up there on Ayala, City Rialto.
Very fancy marketplace.
It's a very fancy. So that alone, the fact that she's there is very impressive, because it's only corporate companies. So we're excited to talk to her, excited to, talk about business, talk about, struggles in business, maybe get to know a little bit about her, right?
Yeah.
You can share whatever you want to share, there'll be
Get
whatever.
ready for it.
The goal here is, guys, is to, if you want to start a business and you've been thinking about doing a store, like a fashion store or an online presence like she has, this is a perfect opportunity for you guys to listen and get some tips, some gems from her. And, maybe she has some tips for you beginners. So let's get this podcast started, right?
Yeah, I heard she's a little shy, so
yeah.
We'll see what we can get out of
very.
her.
Yeah, we kind of toned down her mic a little bit because we know her already. By the way, we know her. Let's say how we know her. Basically, me and my wife Shirley, we went to a business meeting at a coffee shop, right?
Yeah, it was hosted by Councilman Andy Carrizales, and we had a special guest that day that was Assemblywoman Eloise Reyes, and it was about business in the Inland Empire.
Yeah, so we went in there. There was about 10 of us, 12 of us, right?
Yeah,
had some coffee,
yeah.
and we listened to her, and then we mingled with everybody else, and we got to know her. And she was like close to our age, and her energy was very spunky, and we attracted to her.
That's a
We
word for it.
didn't really. We talked like a little bit. We didn't really
Yeah.
talk too much, right?
Yeah.
And then my wife went to start. She started.
Yeah,
purchasing.
she came into the store to show her support when I had my opening and everything, and then that turned into a really great friendship.
Yeah, and then actually you even gave us some trust and got your first tattoo by the
did.
man right here.
So I tattooed her.
I did pretty good job. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm just
here
kidding.
we go. Here we go.
No, it was great.
And then she brought her brother.
Yeah, you tattooed her
I
brother.
tattooed her brother.
Yeah.
Really cool guys. Shout out to the Paisa. What's up?
Hey.
See you watching this, homie. Shout out. But no. And then so we just started talking, and she'd be another perfect guest for our podcast here today. So let's get this started, Eva, you want to tell us your story,
Well,
man.
first, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
As you so eloquently said, I am president and CEO of In Your Closet. In Your Closet started originally as an online company. I actually started it out of my garage. But it is not my first company. Well, first, let me say how I started in the clothing industry. I started working when I was about 16, 17 years old, and my first job was at a clothing store. And then I got married, and I moved to Manhattan. I moved to New Jersey, but we worked out of Manhattan, and we had an import and distribution company. So we actually imported product and we distributed it to the wholesalers who then distributed it to retailers. So I know the industry from all points of view, I guess you could say.
From the beginning to now.
From the beginning to the end, from the point of manufacturing to importing to distribution to retail. I pretty much know the industry inside and out. So our retail places that we had were more in New Jersey and in Chicago when we moved to Chicago. So In Your Closet is actually the first company that I own on my own. And it's the first company that I've owned in California. And having moved all over the country and done business all over the country, I can tell you doing business in California is not easy.
It's one of the hardest things I heard.
It really is. There's a lot of hoops and loops to jump through, a lot of obstacles. But it's also the 5th largest economy in the world. And so it's worth it once you pass all of those hurdles.
I agree. Yeah, it's almost similar to the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
I mean, California is one of the heaviest regulated, and it's not that easy to, even get licenses and even get approved for a tattoo shop in some certain areas. Like for us, it was hard to get into the city of Rancho Cucamonga.
Really?
Even Rialto.
Even Rialto, yeah.
It was really hard to get in there.
As a city or as
the city
like
regulated harder. Yeah. So most of the states, from what I know, is the state allows the cities to put harder restrictions on tattoos.
And other states, I heard from other guys that own shops, it was a breeze. They welcome them. So yeah, but again, once you're in, you have a big market. So
you do.
I can imagine from tattooing and from retail. It's all extra income that people are spending on,
Yeah, I mean, I think for the difference, probably the most between what you do and what I do is that what you do is a very special skill, right? One, you have to be an artist. You have to be able to create these basically, canvases. You get a canvas and you have to create this artwork on this canvas, and the canvas is somebody's body. So what you do is a very, very special, very specific skill. What I do is it's special in the sense that if you don't understand it, you can lose a lot of money. It's so easy to lose money in my industry. It's ridiculous.
Is that just because of trends or because...
It's for multiple reasons. I think the biggest misconception about the retail industry, especially when it comes to clothing, is that people think, or, women specifically, think that, oh, I have good taste in clothes, so let me open up a clothing store. That's basically what it comes down to. But if you don't have experience in business in general, it's very easy to forget all of the additional expenses, because it's not just about buying the clothes. You know what I mean? Firstly, you have if you're not doing it online solely, you have to have an actual space that you have to pay for, right? And for example, for you guys can pick probably a more remote location because people are coming to you. You don't need foot traffic. Yeah. Right? You don't need people walking in and out of your shop continuously, right? For me, I do need a lot of foot traffic. I need to pick the right location. It took me a year and a half to find what I wanted as far as locations go. So I think that for you guys is a little bit different also, is that for you, it doesn't have to be so...
I mean, it's a combination. In the beginning, you do need that foot traffic, But as you establish your brand, it doesn't matter where you're at. There's shops that are in the high desert that everybody flies to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But we got a little ahead of ourselves. Keep telling us your story about how, we want to know Eva.
Me?
We want to know, because if your community sees this, this is an opportunity for you to tell a little bit about, so they can understand you,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. So I started my store out of the garage, literally. I started with about...
Hey, we started out of a garage.
Did you?
There's a trend right there.
Hey, but listen.
Did you have AC? Because we didn't have AC.
I didn't have AC either. Unless I kept the garage door open and then the AC from the inside came out.
So you had a fly net.
And if it was Ricardo's tattooing, it had to be with the fan.
Yeah, you have to be like that.
Oh my
gosh. Struggle's real. Anyway.
You got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you got to do. See, guys? It doesn't matter. You don't have to start out of a beautiful shop.
I remember my first event was with iHeartMedia. With 991 KGGI. It was Ladies Night Out, and I got a booth. And just the struggle of putting your product into the back of a truck, taking it all the way over there, having the stands, doing your setup, just to get your name out there was exhausting. It was probably it was worth it for sure. look, at the end of the day, nothing is ever going to come easy. You have to put in the work. But it was little things like that. And by the end of the night, you have to pack it all up and bring it back and set it back up in the right places. And then you have to do it all over again, continuously.
So you started out of a garage.
I did.
And then what was the next step? What was your next growth state?
Well, when I started out of the garage, I instantly established my online store.
Okay, so you did it online first.
I did. I instantly established my online store. So I had everything set up in my garage. I had everything numbered, styles, rows, all of that. And then that way when I get an online purchase, I can just go to the thing, pack it up, and send it out. But the reality of the matter, here's the problem with people starting online stores, and I think that includes me. I've been in the industry for so long and done it in the traditional way where I had the store, right? I had the storefront already.
Back in Manhattan.
Back in Manhattan, Jersey, Chicago. I had the storefront already. We hadn't gone into the online world. And without a social media presence, there's no traffic that's going to come to your store. So how are people even going to know that there is an online store there for them to shop at if there's no social? Like, how is it? They're not just going to magically show up at your online store. And that was my biggest struggle.
You had to get awareness. Yeah. What did you start at? Facebook?
I did. I started.
I don't want to date you. I don't want to date you. You know?
Let me tell you. So I actually.
I had MySpace.
I never said the date that I started this company. This company I started in 2017.
2017. Okay.
I started this company in 2017. I actually started both the Instagram and the Facebook at the same time, but I ain't young, so Instagram, I didn't really understand it all that well. So I actually focused a little bit more on Facebook, and then I realized for a good year, and then I realized that isn't where you need to put your focus, you know. So I transferred over to Instagram, and man, is it hard to build your Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I think Facebook's more like from what I heard from other companies or for other people that run, it's more for out of state or out of the country. So everyone else out of the country, the U.S., uses Facebook more than Instagram.
Yeah.
But everybody here uses Instagram more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For products and purchases and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So tell us, okay, you had that online store, you had your ups and downs, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was more downs than ups.
Were you all in, or did you have a side job?
I had a side job. Yes. I got contracted with an investment and insurance company in Glendale called Lions Partners Insurance, which is an extremely impressive company. You know, the thing that I think I took away most from that company, and the thing that I think most people should pay attention to in their circle, is that when you surround yourself with people who are more successful than you, it gives you a goal. You look at them and you say, that's where I want to be. Right?
I've heard that many podcasts. Makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we always want to be growing, you know?
We do.
If you're not growing,
We do. And that company was filled, most of them were much older than myself, and they were all very intelligent and very successful men and women. There was actually a larger number of women there than there were men.
Did it feel more competitive? Where everybody
was actually extremely supportive.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the most unique business experiences as far as corporations go that I've ever seen. Because for most companies, the rivalry turns toxic. Here, the competitiveness was very yes, we want to compete, but that's just to bring each other up.
Support.
So, yes, it was. And everybody offered their knowledge.
Yeah.
It wasn't like figure it out on your own. No, if you need help, come to me and I'll help you figure it out, which is rare.
And what was your product there? What were you selling?
Mostly life insurance.
Life insurance. Like a Prime America type?
No. No offense to... no offense to anybody.
Okay. I just know that
That's what everybody knows. Unfortunately, there are far more. We were actually essentially it's considered a brokerage company. So they were contracted with, at the time that I was there, I think it was 12 different companies. So we had access to many products. So it wasn't like, this is the only product that I have, this is what I have to convince you of getting. It was more of, you have to learn what your client's needs are and find the right thing to suit them and their life and their family's future.
Sounds like you're right there. You got your skill and clothes right there
Yeah.
too.
So that's what you used, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, you have to take into consideration, business is all fundamentally the same.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for you have to see the style of art that your client is looking for, right? For me, I have to pay attention to each individual person who walks through the door, their body shape, their whether they're conservative or they're comfortable wearing whatever it is, their skin tone, all of these different things I have to take into consideration as soon as they come in. And then with life insurance and investment and retirement planning, all of that, you also have to cater to individually suit each person. We're not all the same. We don't have the same income. We don't have the same family lifestyle. We don't have the same religious beliefs, because that is part of investment too. And finding the right dynamic to put yourself in, as far as that goes, is very difficult. So I was definitely very blessed to be brought into a company of that stature, because they're very exclusive, not only in clientele, but also in who they allow to be part of their circle. And our CEO, Emina Jiminian, who is Armenian, was very specific in, if I ever find out that you're lying to a client to make a sale, you're done.
Interesting.
Right? Because he had...
they put a lot of value in trust. Which
Very
is
much.
what we do too. Why do we do this podcast?
Well, I was going to bring it back to like how you said, like everybody, it's competitive, but it's like supporting competitive.
Yes.
I feel like that's something we do here as well. Like, obviously, we're trying to be as best as we can be as an artist, but you kind of low key are competing with the person next to you. Like, oh, I think I could do that better. But we're kind of helping each other at the same time. You know what I mean?
But you also I originally came to get tatted by Ricky, and he sent me over to you. So if he didn't think that you were going to do a good job, then he wouldn't have trusted you with essentially his client, right? So that's a level of trust that I think is essential to your success too, is that you're surrounding yourself with the right artists, that whether you're here or not, your clients are being taken care of. Right?
I agree. Yeah.
And that's part of building a team.
I agree. So going back to your story, so you're doing that side hustle, you're doing your online. When is that point when you decided, you know what, I'm gonna do a store right here in California? Like, I'm gonna transfer into...
There was never a point. That was the goal from the beginning.
Oh, that was the goal. Okay.
That was the goal from the beginning. The only issue was this: I was so used to working in high
numbered.
What's the word? High population areas, high density areas, like in Manhattan, in New Jersey, in Chicago. It doesn't matter where you open, you have foot traffic.
Right.
California,
the demand is there.
Yeah, California is very different.
Spread out.
Separated.
It's very spread out. There's probably not a single shopping center or mall that I hadn't considered in the IE. I went everywhere before I decided that Renaissance Marketplace was where I wanted to be.
And that's an interesting story she was telling us before. Like, how did you even got into it? And guys, if you're listening to us and Inland Empire, which is like 60 miles from LA, there's this new area that is called the Renaissance Plaza Marketplace.
It's called Renaissance Marketplace Plaza, I think. Yeah.
And basically, there's all corporate brands there. There's no like liquor store there. It's all just brands. Like, for instance,
Old Navy.
Yeah, just kind of like that.
Old Navy, Ulta.
Yeah, so you don't see a lot of like mom and pop stores. So how did you get into there? Maybe that's a good like a.
How did I get into there?
I tried, And we tried to get in there for tattooing, and they're like, "Oh hell no!"
They shut us down real quick.
But I wasn't persistent on it because we already had established this place.
Yeah.
But it's a cool story, a little side story that you can tell. How did you get in?
Yeah.
Like a quick little lesson of it, like how persistence
For sure. I actually had, at the time, I was talking to Renaissance Marketplace and Ontario Mills.
Okay.
So I was talking to both. And I don't know if you know how Ontario Mills works, but Ontario Mills, they have this kind of bidding to where they have a space available. They have a bunch of people, a bunch of companies on a list, and they say, okay, this is the available space. This is the starting bid for that space. How much are you willing to pay for it?
I didn't know that. It's interesting.
Right? Now, I had met with the leasing agent at Ontario Mills, and after a while, and I think when people sit down and talk to you, they can tell the difference between you simply having a dream, right, and then you actually knowing what you're doing.
Have a plan.
You have a plan. You know the industry. You have numbers. You know exactly what profit margin you need to get there. So after sitting down with the leasing agent at Ontario Mills, she offered me a couple of places rather than me having to bid on anything. Mm-hmm. The issue was the places that she had offered me were all 4,000 to 6,000 square feet, which is far bigger than I wanted to open. Not because of product. Product is easy to get. It's employees, coverage. Continuously having that coverage there, it's just not something that I wanted to deal with.
That's something people don't think about either.
It's not something that people think about because what you do have to think about is that your overhead isn't just your lease, right? You have insurance that goes with that. You have electricity that goes with that. All of this stuff, it adds up. And the bigger the space is, the more overhead you have. Not to mention your employees. For 4,000 to 6,000 square foot space, I need 4 to 5 employees on the floor continuously throughout the day. Mm-hmm. That brings your overhead for the month up pretty damn high, which means you have to sell twice as much. So you have to there's a lot of calculations that goes into it's not like, okay, here you go. Oh yeah, I could do that a month, but then you're not actually calculating all of these other expenses. Right. And then I had spoken to the Renaissance Marketplace leasing agent on file. And they gave me a number that I wasn't necessarily interested in for the location in comparison to the number that I had gotten from Ontario Mills. And I let it go for a little bit, but I really wanted the space. So I contacted them about 6 months later. And the leasing agent was like, okay, meet us there. Or no, she said, meet me there. I'm like, okay, I'll meet her there. I go, and I actually ended up meeting with her and the developers. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just a meeting with the leasing agent. It was a meeting with her and with one of the developers and one of the head people at Lewis Management, which is the company that built the center. Yeah. Now First Commercial Realty has taken over the center. They purchased it from Lewis, but Lewis Development is the ones who actually developed the center. Right. Mm. And I was there for a good hour to hour and a half. And I think they asked me every question you could possibly think of when it comes to business. Like, what's the profit margin? How much are you getting something for? What are you selling it for? What do you think? How many employees do you think you're going to have? They broke it down. They asked me, when do you want to open? And I gave them a time, and they said, you're the first realistic person we've talked to. And I was like, why? They're like, everybody seems to be thinking that it's going to take them this long to open when we know for a fact that it's going to take them this long to open. Mm. You're the first person who we've talked to who understands the timing and the seasonality of how the business is going to flow. So after talking to them for a good hour and a half, I honestly didn't realize I knew as much as I knew until they asked me. Right. You don't know what you know until somebody asks you.
Yeah. What do you put in that in that position, you know?
Yeah. And I finally got a call back from them, and they said to me, on paper, meaning my financials, and because like you said, all of the companies that are there, they're all, other than maybe a couple of
They're all franchises.
They're all franchises. Yeah,
every single one. There's one that's not.
No, every single, whether it's the food places, even the nail shop, they have 3 different locations.
Right. They're all franchises. Yeah.
Every single space there is a franchise or a multi-million-dollar Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. I'm probably the only actual small business,
which is in
the grocery place,
the grocery outlet. They have a couple of places.
Have a couple, right? They're franchise, bro.
Are they?
Yeah,
they're franchise.
Yeah, it's just me.
It's just me. All right, so
but hopefully I'll turn into a franchise too. I mean, hey, again, surround yourself with the right people, right?
Yeah.
Tell yourself you're at that level. And they said to me, you don't make sense on paper, but we have faith in you and your vision, and we're going to give you the space.
Now, that space you're talking about, was that the one you wanted, or you just wanted a space?
No. That was the one that I wanted because here's the thing, right? So the way that the shopping center was set up is on one side, you have all of the retail companies. The clothing, the shoes, all of it is on this side. It's kind of like a rectangle, right? Mm. On this side, you have all of the food places. We have Olive Garden and Starbucks, Panda Express. September's. All the food places are on this side. And at the end of the center, you have the Cinemark Cinema, right? All of the places that are over on this side, they're all really big places. The majority of them, because they are all companies. They're all high-end companies. Now, where I am, I'm located right next to Bath & Body Works. Now, I had seen there were 3 spaces available. By the way, there weren't even walls. It was literally just metal posts.
Got it.
And I saw the one that was next to me, which ended up being Bath & Body. It was too big. The one to the left of me, I just didn't like the way that it was shaped. And then the one right in the middle, right in between the two, it was perfect. It was just a straight rectangle. And I was like, all right, I can do this. And I can do it this way. I had it all in my head. And I was like, this is it. This is the one.
How many square feet?
A little, about 1875. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, it's
It
not.
looks bigger than that.
It's the way that it's set up.
She got ahead.
I got you.
I got you.
Yeah. Actually, because it hadn't been built yet, they asked me if I wanted a storage space. And I said no.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to pay X amount for a storage space. I literally took that amount of money for 200 square feet. Mm-hmm. I would have had, that whole space that I have at the store where you told me I should do a podcast.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to have that space.
It would have just been a block.
And then
you wouldn't have been able to see all the way through.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I understand.
So I said no, and I actually ended up getting a warehouse right down the street for 1,000 square feet for almost the same amount it would have cost me to do 200 square feet at the store.
Wow.
So it's all about calculations. Yeah. Business is calculations. You have to think about every little thing.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of calculations, how was your first year when you first opened up? So, okay, she literally opened up when that complex opened up.
Yeah.
There were some places that weren't still built out.
I was the last person to open up.
That's one thing I kind of had a question on. Like, I thought they had said, like, okay, this is where every store is going to be. I didn't know you get to choose where you want to be.
Well, it depends on when you get into it. It depends on when you're doing the negotiations with them. Yeah.
Yeah, because most of those franchises, they were set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they were talking about build out, they were already set.
Yeah.
You came in towards the end, and
I did. I came in towards the end, but it was the perfect location. I had no idea who was going to be opening up next to me, but the second that I found out that Bath & Body Works was next to me, I about jumped out of my seat. Because I was literally driving in the car, I was driving by the center just to because it's right there and I'm going to go in and check in on it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more about the marketing as far as that, because you're right. It's not in that particular place. Nobody walks the whole.
Well, nobody
complex.
walks all the way down there because it's at the end of the complex.
So how was your first year?
It is
first year as far as sales. Give us the nitty gritty. Like, I know.
The nitty gritty is this. We had our grand opening December 14th. We shut down because of the pandemic.
3 months later? 4 months later?
2.5 months later.
Ooh. So she started in 2019, right?
19.
Yeah. At the end of 2019.
Wow. And then you get hit with COVID.
So all of this investment, right, that we just took and put into this place.
Just went down.
It didn't go down, but you just...
I mean, you had to learn how to adjust.
You do, because here's the thing. Nobody thought we'd survive.
Were you doing good the first 3 months? Like, were you getting a lot of...
Well, here's the thing. We had opened December 14th. So essentially, the entire holiday season is already done.
Yeah.
Right? January and February, historically speaking, for my industry, for most industries, but even more so for my industry, are always the worst.
Yeah, they're on recovery. Everybody's just saving up again.
So I'm expecting January and February to be bad.
Like a loss, yeah.
Yeah, I already know. I already know. It's not like it's, news to me, or I'm not prepared for it, or whatever the case may be. And I told everybody, first week you're gonna see it jump. Second week, you're gonna see our sales double. I already know how it works. I've been doing it forever. And that's exactly what happened.
How many employees did you start with?
6.
6 employees?
I started with 6 employees.
Including you? Or
not including me. No, 6 employees is what I started with, because I had them on different shifts.
Right.
Yeah. I had 2 girls there at one point.
You open every day?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Every day.
Every day. 10 to 9 every day, except for Sunday, we close at 8. Give them a whole hour early.
So going back to that pandemic, how it shut you down and everything.
Yeah.
You think it would have been a lot worse? Because right now you have a storefront. You think it would have been a lot worse at the mall, where Ontario just completely shut down for months?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It was the exact same thing. We were shut down. We had to pay our rent.
How many months did you close for?
We were closed for 2 months.
2 months.
But just because we reopened doesn't mean anything, because the entire world was still shut down. The thing about our industry, and this is something that's very different from your industry, my industry is reliant on every other industry being in operation. Because if you don't have anywhere to go, you don't need new clothes. If you don't have school, you don't need new clothes. If you don't have a party, you don't need new clothes. If you're not going out to dinner, you don't need new clothes.
That's true. I'm thinking about it like that.
So I wanted everybody else to open before me, because me being open doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's buying a new blouse to stay at the house.
Yeah.
Did I just rhyme?
Yeah. Look at you right here.
Tell us a little bit more of that struggle. Like, that's a definite obstacle. You first open up, you spend all this money.
Yeah.
And then boom, sorry,
Well,
how do you
adjust?
Adjust.
To be honest, sometimes I look back on it and I have no idea how the hell we got through it. And when I say we, I mean me and my family, because I couldn't have done it without my brothers and my parents.
So it's a family-owned business, right?
It is. It's a family-owned. Everything that my brothers and I do, we do together. There's no such thing as this is mine and that's yours. This is ours.
That's cool.
Yeah. And well, at first I felt like, okay, we're going to get some relief because of the PPP loans, right?
Yeah.
The only issue for me, and it turned out, I thought it was just me. But then as, we moved along and you start watching the news and stuff like that, you realize there's a lot of people in the same boat as you. The problem is that it was a brand new business. And we opened up at the end of 2019. And when they were first filling out the PPP loans, nobody really knew what the hell they were doing. Even the associates at the bank, they had no idea, and it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
They wanted to see a 25% deficit from 2019 to 2020. For me, that's not realistic because I don't have anything for 2019 to show. So there isn't going to be a deficit. Everything is going to be up. So I didn't really get any government help. Right?
The first round or every?
The second round wasn't until this year.
Yeah.
But they still wanted to see a deficit. They asked for, they created far more obstacles than needed. And what I noticed and I realized much later on is people who lied on the applications got a lot more help than people who told the truth, i.e. me.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of them are now getting, bit in the ass for it. But
yeah, we were fortunate we had, a year and a half in, right? Mm-hmm. So we had records that we could show.
Yeah.
But it also took us a while to get it because we applied like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, we didn't want to just, like I said, screw ourselves, you know what I mean? Like, we just said, let's be honest. And if we get some help, whatever we can add, I understand your property managers, they still asked for your rent, right? Monthly?
They did.
Because on our side, they gave us a break.
Yeah, they helped us out.
They gave you guys a break?
Well, not a break. They gave us a pause.
Yeah.
We still paid it. But they gave us a pause. Like,
the only thing that they did was they allowed me to pay half now.
And defer the rest?
And they deferred the rest. So basically, we were shut down for 2 months, fully shut down.
Yeah.
2 months and a half, really. But we were fully shut down for 2 months. And what I did was I paid half of the rent for those 2 months, and then the other half was added on to the other 2 months, the following 2 months. So it wasn't like they gave me this grand deferral for like a year where I was just paying.
You had to pay 150% lease.
For the following 2 months. So it was actually really difficult.
Yeah.
Really, really difficult. Because even when we did open back up, it wasn't like it was business as usual.
Right.
Again, everything else was still closed.
Were you still doing online at the time?
Yeah, but you know what? Let's be real. Let's be real. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar companies who now have their stores shut down, who are doing crazy sales online, and they have marketing power that I couldn't even dream of.
Right.
So I had to make a choice. Throw my money away and put it into marketing, which isn't going to do anything for you, because it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot compete with these multi-billion-dollar companies. Like, at the end of the day, that's just the reality. And you have to be very realistic, or else you're going to go down a rabbit hole that you're not going to be able to come out of. I just didn't do anything when it came to my online. I just let it be. I just let it be, and I just kept talking to my followers. That's really all that it was. I talked to everybody, and I explained my situation, and I honestly have some amazing customers who did come in continuously just to support me, not because they had anywhere to go, but because they wanted to make sure that I didn't shut down completely. So that is, that's a blessing in and of itself.
That's very important about the whole social media aspect as well. Like, you putting a face behind the actual business so people realize there's actually a human behind it.
Yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't something that I originally wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just came about naturally, or just by...
No, because we had this conversation earlier, right? Like, she didn't want to be on camera.
No, I hated it. Like, usually that little thing right there, the second it gets pointed at me, I shut down. I've always been that way. But one of my employees, Jennifer, she's no longer with us, but she kept, pushing me. She's like, you have to be on there. People want to know who you are. They want to know who they're buying from. They want to know if it's honest or not. Mm-hmm. And she was right. And at first, anytime I grabbed this thing and I'd start recording, I would repeat it like 50 different times.
Really?
Yeah. Like I would get tongue-tied. I would get nervous. I'd have no idea what the hell I was talking about. But then slowly you kind of just get used to it.
Okay.
So fast forward, the pandemic is starting to ease down, lift, I guess you could say. Your sales start picking up, right?
My sales didn't start picking up until March of this year.
March of this year, okay. Wow, that's recent.
Yeah.
But in between that time, you kept talking to your community, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
building up that community, building up that brand.
Yeah. See, and a lot of people, and that's the very important part of this, is that most people their social media and be like,
yeah,
why am I gonna talk to people right now? There's nothing to do. On the other hand, she did the smart thing. She continued building a connection with them, so that when she does open up, they're ready. You know, they got that extra the stimmy money, you know?
Stimmy money.
And they're like, ching, you know?
Yeah.
So we continue to do the same thing because we closed down for 2.5 months as well.
Yeah.
Even more, huh?
We closed down for 5.
You guys, I remember you guys were closed down for a lot longer.
And then they closed us down. To be honest, I don't remember.
We're closed. They officially closed us down for 4 months. They opened us up for 2 weeks, and then they shut us down again till February.
Right.
So it was tough for us like that, but we still were, you know, the crazy thing with tattoos, I thought it was just going to, I had never experienced this in my life, you know? I mean, 9/11 was pretty trippy, but I wasn't in business as far as, you know, having a business. But this, I thought, you know, nobody's going to care about tattoos, you know? Yeah. Like, people are losing their life savings, their jobs. Nobody's going to care about a tattoo. It was the opposite.
It was opposite.
We're getting, like, bombarded, right? Like, I need a tattoo. I need a tattoo. So I think tattooing shows that, you know, we need it in times of tough times.
Yes.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's what I learned. So sometimes the people tell you exactly what your niche, you know, niche demands, you know, what they ask for. So now that we're talking about a little bit more marketing, you know, let's get into the fun stuff. You know, we got to know your struggle. I mean, that was you know, you went up and then
down.
Boom, came down. How do you? So, what is In Your Closet to you? Like, I like that name. It's pretty cool. It's In Your Closet, right?
Yeah.
What is your business? What is your niche? Who are your customers?
My customer is really anybody. Honestly, I don't cater to any specific age group. I don't cater to any specific style. I don't have a specific style myself. I think a brand is a little bit more than just style or a piece of clothing or whatever the case may be. I think a brand is the people behind the brand, whether it's me or my employees, the way that women feel when they walk in the store. That's why decorating it the way that I did took me a very long time, and it was very specific.
But it's definitely what you would say, like 95% women?
For the most part, yeah.
There's some men that go and buy it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? But for the most part, it is women, but it's women of all ages. I've had 3 generations of the same family shop at the store. Everything from punk to loungewear to literally ball gowns. We have everything for every occasion. And I did it that way because I want every single person who walks in the door to feel like this is a place for them. It's not specific to one person.
It's something you don't see because most stores do focus on just one thing.
Like a Forever 21.
Yeah. I ain't going in there. I don't fit. Yeah.
You know, let me tell you. So when I first hired my employees, one of them, she asked me, she's like, is there a specific way that you want us to dress? And I'm like, no. You dress however you want. And she was very like punk, sometimes a little like goth sometimes and stuff like that. And she's like, are you sure? Like, this is my style. Like, is it how you want to represent the store? And I was like, I don't want the store to be represented by any specific thing. Mm-hmm. If that's your style, be who you are, because who you are is going to connect with somebody, right? We're not the same people. Everybody is different. But everybody should feel welcome, regardless of what their background is. That's, I guess, my niche is that I don't have one.
Okay.
Damn, that's different.
All right, so one question I had to ask is, you being a small store, what's one thing that separates you from all the other big chain stores? Especially right there in that Renaissance, there's like at least 6 different clothing stores right there now.
Yeah, there is. 2 things. The first is, I'm very specific with the product that I bring into the store, so it's always going to be very high quality. And the customers who I do have, they know that and they notice it, which is what brings them back. The second is I don't restock anything. So once something is sold out, that's it. It's gone. It's not coming back. So especially in an area like this where everybody knows everybody, you don't want to be caught, especially women. There's an issue with that, wearing the same thing as somebody else. But I mean, now granted, I'm not the only one selling this stuff, right? But it's less likely for there to be that case.
So you create more like an urgency then.
Yeah, not just an urgency, but more of an exclusivity, I guess.
Exclusivity. That's smart. Because I know somebody who's doing that in for the gyms by name of Miguel. He has a self-made training franchise, and he has his own clothing line.
Okay.
And he one of his strategies is also he creates a line. You know, this is just shirts for right now, shirts and sweaters, but he creates a certain design, and it has limited stock on it. So therefore, it creates like an urgency. It creates exclusivity, and people want that. You know, so the bad thing about that is that you have to be always innovating.
Continuously.
You can't just duplicate, and because people are gonna be like, I have that already.
Right.
So,
and the thing is, at any given moment, if you go on our website, you'll find anywhere between 250 to 300 styles to choose from. And that's continuously changing. So that's something that people need to understand is people, I think, have this idea in their head that I'm only working when I'm at the store. Well, the thing is, product doesn't just magically show up at the store. So whether it's going to the bank or talking to vendors or doing other things that have to do with business, just because I'm not physically there at the store doesn't mean I'm not working. And I think that's a misconception that people don't have, especially with you. How many hours do you work in a day?
Tattooing, actually.
We're just being here.
Being at the shop, I mean, we're here like 8 to 10 hours. But then there's a behind the scenes, I guess you could say, of looking at talking with clients, booking, and then talking about the design and even researching the design for the next client.
I feel like if you put it all together, probably like 16, 17 hours.
16-hour days. About 16-hour work days.
Oh, yeah, give or take.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Here's the issue with a lot of people that want to start a business. They complain about not wanting to have a 9 to 5, but they don't realize the amount of work it requires to actually run a successful business. You're always thinking, even if you're out, you're thinking about work.
Yeah.
That's the thing about business owners that I think a lot of people don't understand is that you are always working. From the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to sleep, you're working. Even if you're out partying, it's not a party. It's networking, making connections, because you need those to build your business and to invest into other things. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want this to be my only business. I have plans on opening quite a few others in plenty of different industries.
Same thing with us. I mean, we want to take the brand to different levels, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I like how you said that. You're always networking because I think your mentality starts changing once you do become a business owner because at first you don't see it as networking. And I think you start training your brain into actually thinking, okay, how could this benefit me right here talking to this person? You know what I mean? Not in a bad way.
But in a good way, because 9 times out of 10, when it's benefiting you, it's also benefiting them. Exactly. It's a give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we've shared a lot of your story. What do you if you want to talk to that person behind the scenes, behind the TV, and he's or on the phone, whatever his channel. By the way, if you guys we appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
We definitely want to bring up some more viewers so we can definitely bring out some value to you guys, especially if you guys in this episode is about fashion and business retail. So definitely subscribe and give us a comment.
I don't know why you said fashion. In my head, I heard Shirley scream like, "Hey!"
We'll put that. We'll put that
in a little bit later.
What was I saying? I digress.
Yeah.
No, so what would you recommend? Okay, what are some tips for somebody that's been thinking about, you know what, I want to start a business. And you said, like you said, it's not a 9 to 5. No. It's more than 9 hours easily. But I believe we put in that work and you put in that work because we actually love that business.
Yeah.
You know? We like the struggles of it. We're constantly wanting to grow it. So we're going to put in those hours and we want to. And it doesn't feel like, to me, it never feels like a 16-hour day. It feels like another day to me that I get to do what I like to do. Yep. Tattoo. Right? So knowing that you're going to have a lot of time invested, what are some tips that you can give a person that wants to start a retail business, such as selling clothes or shoes or hats? What are some tips you can?
The first tip is this: don't expect anybody to hand you their knowledge. Nobody owes you anything. And if you think that you can just go up to somebody and ask them, how do I do this? And they're just going to tell you, you're out of your mind. You have to put in the work yourself. You have to put in the research yourself. You have to do the calculations yourself, because are there going to be a few people out there rooting for you? Yes. But are there more people rooting for you to fail? 1000%. That's just the reality. I'm not a pessimist, but I'm a realist, and it's something that I've noticed throughout the years. Everybody wants to ride on the wave of success, but nobody wants to be there as you're going up. So
Interesting.
the first thing that I would tell you is do the research. Calculate every little penny. And if you think that you're done, write it all down, because I guarantee you'll be sleeping. You'll wake up because a thought will pop up into your head, and you need to write that thing down too, because every little tiny thing that is involved in your business to make it successful is an investment, and it's money that you have to come up with.
And what's a key to growing that? Okay, they're gonna take that initial step to getting a business started, whether it's in the garage, it's internet, it's at a store. What's a key to growth?
Don't sleep.
Lots of coffee.
Look, it's time. You have to
invested, right?
Yeah, it's time. You have to put in the work.
I always say that business is like it's like business is jealous. If you're not putting in that work, it's not going to give you back that.
It's
time.
not. It's
You
not.
You have to put in that work.
Let me tell you, my biggest issue lately has been finding people who want to work, finding people for me to employ. And I think the thing that a lot of these, employees seem to forget is we didn't get here by working 5 hours a day. If I need to be at my store from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., that's what, 11 hours? I can do in 11 hours like it's nothing. 11-hour shift, that ain't nothing for me. I'd rather do that than hand my business over to somebody who I don't trust, who is going to give me attitude, who is whatever the case may be. As a business owner, you have to be willing to step in when your employees aren't doing the job. That's another thing that you have to understand. You're the only one who is going to make you succeed. You cannot put all of your trust and efforts into anybody else other than yourself.
That's a good point. And that, throwing it out to the tattoo industry with us, we had a conversation about that. And when we started out, the first month was zero business. We're just...
same thing. We started in the slow peak, same as you.
And so at times we didn't have much work. So what did? We said, okay, we got to first, get some people in here, get tattooed. So we started, doing some giveaways and, just getting people in, people we know, we'd call them. But long story short, we said, oh, we need to hire artists so they can work for us, right? So we started hiring just to hire. Our vetting system, our filter was like,
I wasn't there.
Can you tattoo? Can you tattoo? Yeah. Come in, So boom, we did that. We were heavy on it, right? We hired 4 more artists.
Oh wow, that's a lot to just jump into. Yeah.
So we had all of a sudden we're packed, right? And our numbers are showing, right? And we're starting to get busy. But then what happens is we started getting to know all these artists, and most of them were good, but there were some issues with some because we didn't filter them right. They weren't to our
standard.
Our standard, I guess. Or they didn't have the right mindset we did. So then we had to let go of some, and then we had this conversation with him and with me and Josh, and we said, you know what? From now on, we got to make sure me and you can cover our costs. And instead of hiring like crazy, let's just have it organically. People come in. And it's been working out so far so good.
And we did that. Like at one point, we went from having a full shop to just me and Ricky for like 8 months.
Yeah.
So we just said, as long as we cover our costs,
and
we're good, let's focus on ourselves. And then eventually the brand will come out somewhere. And now we hired some... How
long have you been in this spot?
Going on 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
November, 3 years. So started in November 2018. So it was gonna be about 3 years. So, but the point of that is that, like you said, it comes down to us.
Yeah.
You have to put
And
in
if
the
we're
work.
covering everything, then the rest is a bonus. If we're doing it right, people come to us. But I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that is business. You are the business.
And I think knowing, from outside into you, just on the little bit that I known you, one thing you do very well is and is part of your success, like that you're still there at that high-end retail place for Rialto, because it's really like the best place to
It
be
really
at,
is, yeah.
I don't see no other point because that place is going to grow. There's going to be
It
so
really
much
is.
community. Like you set your roots in good, and I'm
Thank
proud of
God.
you. That's
Thank
cool.
you. Thank
But
you.
I think the part that made you successful is that you connected with your community constantly, and you're always
I try.
you're always on camera. You're always people know who Eva is. People know who Eva is. What is she doing? What are her struggles? And that's something that we could learn and be more personal on our business, because people want to know who they're buying from, right?
Yeah, people want to know who they're buying from. They want to know. I think here's another thing as a female entrepreneur. I think it's important for women to start realizing, let's be real, who does the buying at your house? Anything.
My wife, Shirley.
That's right.
Yeah, all the Amazon stuff is all her.
Look, the women are essentially the biggest purchasing power in the United States. But for the longest time, we've been putting that money into men's pockets. Right? But there are so many women entrepreneurs out there in so many industries, not just the fashion industry. Again, for me, this is just a stepping stone into other industries that I want to get into. But there are a lot of women entrepreneurs. There are women contractors. There are women plumbers. There are women caterers. There are women in every industry that you can think of. But for the longest time, the men have been at the forefront. And I think women are now starting to realize that it's okay to support each other. And I'm a big believer in that, I support the men too. Don't get mad at me. But I think it is important to bring a light on a lot of the female entrepreneurs, especially out here in the IE, man. Women are popping up like crazy lately. There's a lot of women entrepreneurs out there. And I think that's one of the things that I think has helped me also connect with my community, is that I always try to shine a light on other women businesses, women-owned businesses in the area. I try to give back, even though I'm struggling myself, but I think it's important,
right?
So yeah, I think being involved in the community that you are in is a big part of how you're going to be successful, letting them know who you are as a human being.
Yeah, and I think when Josh asked, like, what separates you from another company, I mean, those two aspects that you did highlight about, your quality and constantly thinking, by all means, those are part of it. But I think more so that you just built your tribe, your community, and everybody that goes and shops there, they follow you on a consistent basis, and you're so consistent of it. And that's a testament to, I think, what anybody should do when you start a business. Just build your community, and actually pay attention to them, say hi to them. Don't just say, hey, buy from this.
Right.
Just, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I have women
give
who
them
come
value,
up. Yeah, for sure. I have women who come up into the store all the time just to say hi. And it doesn't have to be, I think for me, it's always been, I want to make this a safe space for people. And they do. They come in, we talk. It has nothing to do with clothes.
Right.
Nothing to do with clothes. And
I've been there. It's a welcoming space. You go in there, it's open, it's airy. The doors are always open. I love that.
Yeah.
That subliminally, that's something. You know what I mean?
It is.
I hate when I see clothing stores or they have a filter, they have 50% sale on there. Like, no, just keep it air open, and subliminally people say, I want to walk in there,
It's a huge deal. I know. I drove my my employees crazy. They want to close the doors. Nope.
No, we
keep the doors
we keep
open.
our blinds open all the time.
Yeah.
Especially now we got a fly killer, so.
Yeah, we got a fly killer over here, so we put all the flies. He's okay. He's okay. He needs to work, But yeah, that's subliminally, that's a message you want people. And everybody comes in, they're like, man, this place feels open and welcoming. There's no black filter. There's no big lettering. Just people want to welcome, if you want to welcome everybody, you got to make it. So,
you got to make
right?
it so. Yeah, it's funny that you said that the doors are always open because I have a customer who's actually one of my teachers from middle school.
How do you do by the flies, anyways?
You know what? They
don't go in?
I
No?
mean, there's a few here and there, but I think it's because the cold air pushes it out. We don't get too many.
Oh.
It's also a really clean area, so they keep it pretty clean up in there.
Anyways, what were you saying about your friends?
Yes.
I just thought about that. I'm like, she must have a lot of flies.
I don't. It's not that bad. But she tells me, like, whenever I send people to you, I always tell them it's the store with the doors open, because they're always open, and it's the only place.
By, I see it. I'm like,
yeah,
that's smart. You know, I always wonder about the flies though. Like, you must have a good fly
they're
swatter.
scared. They don't come in. Yeah,
I think she has that little vents that throw the air down so they won't go in.
Just salt.
Yeah.
They die.
You guys are too much.
You got fly swatter too?
Do I got a fly swatter? No, I might steal yours though.
Hey, no, he's here for a while.
Just for that.
He signed contract with us. We cannot. Yeah, man, you're very informative.
I hope so.
Do we any other key points we want to talk about? You gave us some good tips. Yeah, I honestly think.
Here's a tip. If y'all want to get your tattoo done right, you come up in here.
That's
you
right.
Talk to Ricky, you talk to Josh. This is the place to be for sure.
For sure. Give us your Instagram handle so people could
My Instagram handle is inyourcloset_IUC, and your is spelt UR, not YOUR. So,
and where are you located at exactly?
We are located in Rialto at the Renaissance Marketplace off of Ayala and the 210. Right in between Bath and Body Works and Scrubs. Nice.
Yep. In the city of Rialto, guys. So definitely, if you guys are local, you want to buy. If you're a man, want to buy some clothes for your wife, go check her out. She's very informative. If you're out of the state, go on to her website. You have a website?
Yeah. The website is right there in the bio of the IG. It's inyourcloset.net.
There you go. So we're just here supporting small business just like us, and like I said, this podcast is for this. It's to help people understand that anybody can start a business. There is struggles. She had one of the biggest struggles with COVID.
Yeah.
But it can be done. It can be done if you really want it that bad, but it's not gonna be easy. You're not gonna do 2 hours and be making money. It's 15 plus hours a day, to be honest.
Sometimes even more, because people think just being on your phone is not working, but you're working.
Yeah. I know. I'm always on my phone, and people think I'm just like, having fun. It's like, no, this is business, bro. Yeah. Business right here.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's what we want to bring to this podcast. And hopefully you guys decide. Maybe you have any questions, go ahead and send us a comment. We'll direct them to her. Excuse me, I was burping. Try to catch my air. But yeah. Thank you very much, Eva. You're officially our first female entrepreneur.
Definitely not going to be the last. I know there's a lot of women up in here. Yeah,
we're definitely going to look for more people to invite from all industries, not just tattooing. We're going to have some more tattoo artists here too.
So, I mean, it was a
really
informative podcast.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
A lot less cussing than I expected.
That'll happen off camera a little bit. We're trying to be professional up here right now.
It's like, I don't know this Eva.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sides to me. It depends on which one you pull out.
All right, guys. Close it up.
All right, guys. So thank you again for watching this episode. Please subscribe, like, comment, share this with anyone that you know that's interested into fashion or tattooing, Again, go ahead and follow us on iconic_tattoo studio on Instagram. And we'll see you next week.
We out.
All right.
All right, let's go.